Well, here we are in a new year. I'm still working on old footage here. This one here, we're finally finishing off the insulation in the shop building here. And my buddy Brad over to help. I think I mentioned before, but the reason I went with the fiberglass insulation was the cost. The mineral wool holds a lot of benefits over this, and spray foam even more so. But this ended up being budget friendly, and I still achieve an R40 on the entirety of the arch, which is good enough for me. We didn't really know what the best way here to attach the poly was, so we tried something doing half and half here, which ended up not being the ideal way to do it. On the lower sections of the wall here for the bottom 8 feet, I adding acoustic steel here, just because I feel like the most penetrations into these bottom studs are going to happen on the bottom walls of this shop eventually, when it is a shop. So this just helps seal up any penetrations that might happen. If I was going to do a really good job, I'd probably acoustic sealed all the way up to the top, but I did not. Yeah, adding plywood to the bottom of these arches served a couple purposes. One, it gives me a larger surface to attach things to. It also provides slightly stronger walls. For impact resistance, we're not going to have things going through the drywall by accident. And then it also adds support to the arches at the bottom to keep them lined up. I drew a layout of the 2-foot layout for the arches onto the plywood to give me something to pull the arches into place with, since it's not blocked out at the bottom. And instead of just nailing this, because it's not really there for shearing force, it's more of a pull down force, and it being angled inward, it would be taking a little more of a pull out force on the screws as well. I attached all these plywoods with 2.5-inch wood screws. And we're putting spray foam in between all the gaps of the rigid insulation we installed over top of the arches in that video. This just to keep it continuous the whole way, fill in, and we didn't need to waste too much time getting the joints perfect on the foam when we were installing it. Always got to make sure you got good airflow when you're working with the fiberglass batts. So I had 2 fans running from the back windows through to the front. These R40 batts actually require a lot of attention after they come out of the compressed bag, so you kind of have to fluff them up to get your full 11 inches thick. I also took special care when putting the batts in between the arches, make sure that the batts didn't get pinched on the sides, so I would push my hands up the sides to make sure that they got all the way equally on the sides from the front to the back. My screw pattern was roughly the same as you would use for sheeting on the exterior. This is just standard 5mm poly you would use for interior vapor barrier. Nothing fancy. One thing that's been very annoying during this interior build here is that I wanted to keep all my new appliances out of the weather. So I had them inside, I had to constantly move them around. But pretty soon here in the build I got to put them in their final resting places. Made things a little bit easier. On this side we use another method where we put the poly all on in one go. I feel like this was probably the better way to do it. It definitely takes a lot more time to do these kinds of things when you're just by yourself. It didn't help that for some reason that day I was very popular on the phone. definitely think using the extra insulation, sacrificing a little bit of interior volume was worth it, and that when it comes to heating this place, it'll be not a problem for the fact that everything's very small and not that large in volume. Yeah, it was around this time that I figured out that I was actually short on insulation, so I wasn't able to finish it all in one go. When I was younger, I remember working around insulation, fiberglass insulation, and it was very itchy on my arms, and I don't know if they've changed something or my skin is just not irritated anymore, but the entire time doing this, I don't remember getting itchy. I make sure to use the tuck tape there to tape my poly layers. That one on the bottom is the poly I laid down underneath the slab when I was prepping for the concrete. So that now runs and is taped up to the wall poly, as well as the gray foam boards on the side there to keep me continuous with my vapor barrier. You see on the bottom left there that it looks like I've got more of a gap on my first sheet towards the end of the sheet versus the beginning, and it actually just worked out that my slab is not completely level. It's not really easy to finish concrete perfectly, so that corner ended up being about 1.5 inches higher. Not a huge deal for me. Putting up plywood with one person can be awkward. You just kind of have to figure out what works the best, try a few different things. At least this was only 1/2 inch plywood, so it was fairly light, and for the most part it was a wall, so it worked out pretty good. Once again, screws to hold everything in place because I'm more worried about the sheets pulling off than I am worried about shear force. I don't know if it's the best way to do it, but I always feel like it's easiest for me to pre-mark the middle of the sheet of poly that I've cut out and start from the middle and work my way out to kind of keep the folds and the plastic nice and taut the whole way. Might not be exactly perfect, but it seems to be good enough that I can at least tape the joints once it comes down to it. After this now, having the insulation in makes this building a lot easier to work in with the wild temperature swings we have. I remember working on this prior to this. There were days there where we had plus 35 Celsius, and I was pretty rough to work in a metal building in those kinds of temperatures.